According to Bloomberg, the travel industry is predicted to grow to be a $16 trillion industry by 2033, making up more than 12% of the world economy. In 2022, Africa's tourism sector was predicted to grow at an average annual rate of 7% between 2022 and 2032 by the World Travel Tourism Council data. Technology has played a major role in this growth, making it easier, cheaper, and more convenient to find your next flight for work or play. Today, we engage with one of the companies driving that process here in Africa and look to what's coming next in the world of travel technology.
Hello and welcome to Tech into the Future, where we talk about everything that's happening in tech and how it affects you. My name is Tomiwa Aladikomo. I'm the CEO of TechCabal, a digital publication that's been covering African tech for the last decade.
And I am Ngozi Madueke-Dozie. I look after partnerships for West Africa at Google. Alongside Tomiwa, I will be your guide into the world of technology in Nigeria, Africa, and the world. Today's guest is the Group CEO of Wakanow, a Lagos-based travel tech company that provides travel cards, hotel and airfare bookings, vacation packages, and advising services. They are present in 15 countries, including Ghana, the United Kingdom, Kenya, and the UAE. Since his appointment as CEO in 2019, he has led the company to profitability and maintained a steady progress towards his aspirations to revolutionize the way people travel. Welcome to the show, Mr. Bayo Adedeji.
Thank you for having me. It's
Fantastic.
a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, welcome to the show again, sir. You became CEO, as I said, in 2019, and barely a year later, we had the COVID-19 pandemic and a lockdown. How did this impact Wakanow business?
I'll give you some context. We were an unprofitable business in 2019. Okay. In 2020, we lost less money than we did in 2019. It's super counterintuitive.
Interesting. How so?
And we hit profitability in September of 2020.
Oh, wow.
The market opened up back in August of 2019, and we hit profitability in September of 2020. I had mixed reaction about COVID. Of course, unfortunately, we lost lives, and it was quite unfortunate that a lot of people died. And when you think about it, it was the biggest impact to life as we know it.
Indeed.
We took the opportunity of the shutdown. My background is in retail. I'm a finance guy, retailer, and I always tell people that you never get a supermarket that shuts down. What happens is that the supermarket has to fix its problems while customers continue to shop.
Indeed.
And COVID gave us the opportunity to have a full shutdown of our store. I think that I always often say that we all run a retail business. And the retail business is just one that the customer wants to shop you. And the shutdown during COVID, where business went to zero, at some point negative because we're paying our refund, right, and not making any money, gave us the opportunity to rebuild the business, the entire technology architecture, the entire technology stack. And we didn't sleep. We actually worked the hardest during COVID. Like I described it to my team, we were sharpening our sword during COVID. And when after COVID, that the market was opened, that our airspace, the Nigeria airspace was open in August, we hit the ground running. And since then we've been running. We hit our first time of profitability in September of 2020. And September, October, November, December was able to bring down the loss that we made during COVID, almost nailing them out.
Amazing.
Really interesting. I mean, that's a great example of not wasting a crisis.
Indeed.
What are the big drivers of your growth and of sort of like your company's revenue?
I say it in two ways. My background is retail, and I say that very often. and a lot of my experience came from outside of the country. The first thing that I would say that drove our growth was not thinking that the things that I've learned in the US was adaptable only here. And that is so big because the first thing that drove our growth was understanding the customer.
Okay.
Taking the time to understand the customer. Understanding that our people, that is the employees of Waka Now, are the ones that interface with the customer, that you need to make sure that your employees are also happy.
Interesting.
Two-way street. That you need to treat your employees almost like customers also. Make sure that they're paid on time. Make sure that the welfare is well taken care of because they are the first customers that interface with the end customer.
Right.
And then take the time to understand the customer. Africa is built on relationship. Waka Now look for ways to deepen our relationship with our customers through leveraging technology. Like I said, there is no business, right? There is no commerce. There's no e-commerce without commerce.
Indeed.
So you can have the best technology if you don't have commerce, the core commerce, which means you buy it for 90 cents, you sell it for $1, or you buy it for 90 kobo and sell it for ₦1. That is commerce, pure commerce. The
Okay.
E on top of it is the enhancer. So we use E to enhance the commerce that we've built. And the commerce that we've built
what you're
is,
suggesting is that
Yeah.
it wasn't a good business prior to this. In
No,
other
no,
words,
that,
you are-
they didn't have me. What can I say? It was a great business. It has always been a great business.
Okay.
There were fundamentals that were missing prior to when I joined, and I just came and added those fundamentals to it. It has always been a great business. It has always been, look, it was a great business. That's why somebody invested $40 million.
Indeed.
Right?
Yeah.
Somebody saw the opportunity. And what I did was I was the spice. There was already a pot of soup. There was already a nice meal that had no salt, had no spice, maybe curry, maybe some thyme. And I brought the curry and the thyme. But I didn't make the soup, and that's the honest truth. And I just came and added the spice to it that made it profitable. But again, technology, because what I did, or myself and the team did, was focus on the customer, drive customer acquisition, drive customer retention, and leverage technology to do it. And I'll give you a perfect example. We opened up WhatsApp as a channel to sell. Simple. It became almost 20% of our business. Just
Interesting.
WhatsApp. What's WhatsApp? Conversational commerce. People say, add a bot behind it. I say, no, put humans first. Create the relationship, understand how they shop before you then go out and add technology.
So you've taken us through like in the commerce part, right? The commerce has to be fixed, and then the E is what you add on
Yep.
to it. So kind of talk us through what you changed in your tech stack. That's one, and then also how did the use of technology improve your relationship with your customers? You've talked about
Yep.
WhatsApp Now and making sure that you had a human behind it and not a bot. This is a combined question. The first is your tech stack. What did you change in your tech stack? And then the second is, in addition to the WhatsApp example, so having that relationship through technology, what else, what other thing did you do to improve your relationship with your customers?
I'll go a lot more rudimentary than you think I would answer this question. I'll start from the first. During COVID, I bought the most computers for the company.
Okay.
The company didn't have as many laptops.
Interesting.
We had desktops. COVID exposed the fact that people can work from home, right? You think tech stack and all this big technology, but the little things count first. Number one, can people take their laptops and take work home? Can people work from home? Can people do that? Yes, Nigeria has its own problem, internet penetration, electricity as it were, but that was the first thing I did, number one. Number two was simple technology. I remember buying a CRM that helped us to even track customers. Before, we could not track cases. We could not track emails to customer. If you were working with a customer and you left, and somebody resumed the next shift, I can't get into your inbox. It becomes a black hole, right? Number one, we fixed that. We brought technology in. We brought a simple CRM solution that helped us track that. Going back to tech stack, changing how we interface with our customer, with our website. I think we're using Angular 2.0 or something at the time. We upgraded to the latest version of Angular that was easy to navigate and be able to use on our website. Those little changes were the things that drove the business. But you see, technology is only for scalability. You see, technology is an enhancer of the commerce. And I never want to leave the commerce conversation because, again, technology just comes and pour gasoline on the fire that you already have. and it helps you to scale, helps you to capture more markets, helps you to capture more customers at the exact same time, take care of them and service them. And that's what we did. Our tech stack was solid, our backend was solid, always been solid. And what we did was that we changed our front end, we changed how we interface with our customers, and where we changed the after service side of it. How can I track customers? And honestly, some of the things that we didn't build proprietary technology. We went out and purchased. Which is also a challenge for the business, because a lot of the technology that we find is denominated in dollars while we make money in naira. So as your dollar goes AYR right now, you're looking at yourself like, oh my God, and maybe I could have built this thing. But again, what we did was we went out and found the right technology for our business, looking at what is obtainable outside of the country that makes sense for our business and our customer shops, and we adopted them.
Fascinating. The price of aviation fuel is up. Airlines are finding it difficult to repatriate funds. It's affected ticket prices. Just before this conversation, we're talking a little bit about the price of living sort of crisis. How are your customers dealing with this? Like, how's it affected the travel business?
So I would like to do some education.
Okay.
The price of tickets in USD is actually down year on year.
Oh.
Yes. But the price that the customer pays in local currency is up.
So why is it down in USD?
Because there is a lot of things that is driving the price down now. Yes, aviation fuel is high. There's a lot of headwind that the airlines are facing. But as demand comes down, they're reacting to the softness into the market. You can see demand. You can even see competition, increased competition on key routes.
Increased competition recently.
Yes,
right, exactly.
Increased competition on key routes. Increased. But you see, it's all about the mix, right? As capacity comes into the market, think about it. If there were 200 customers that fly to London before, and we had 400 seats, that means that there were 400 seats competing for 200 customers. But now another seat has come in and added 300 seats to it. Now there's 700 seats, capacity has gone up, but the customer number didn't change. So now there's competition, and when there's competition, lots of demand and supply, the higher if supply is constant, in this case supply increased, right? It's forcing the demand curve to shift inward. Because again, the demand curve for each airline is now shifting inward because a customer now has increased optionality to fly, right? So again, on key routes, we're seeing softness on key routes. Now, if we back away from softness and go to price pre this period, the price went up. If $1,000 last year was $700K, $1,000 in March went as high as 1.9 million.
Yes, it did.
The customer is not making more money than he did last year. So the customer is technically poorer, as it were, right, than last year. That means that demand is softening. Just looking at the laws of just demand based on disposable income. So as disposable income dwindles, the customer starts to make discretionary spending also becomes something that they think about. They think about choices. I don't know about anyone, but I've started turning off the lights in my house a little bit more than I did in the past. Again, because again...
The real question is, do you turn off your freezer?
You know what? I will tell you that I might have thought about it a couple of times. Thinking about my light bill. Talking about the light bill. And I was thinking about it like, bro, like in my living room, I have a standing AC and I have a wall AC. I find myself using the wall AC and not the standing because I understand the cost implication.
Yeah.
So that means that even for those people that are a little more well off than the average Nigerian, we're making choices. And if you're making choices, then if I used to go to London to go watch a show, right, before, I would think about it now. So when the population of people that have, I call it leisure travel, diminishes, don't get me wrong, corporate travel is strong. I'm going to school is still strong, right? But the discretionary, the leisure piece of it is declining. That means airlines have to react. They don't want to fly empty. What do? You drop price because demand is softening. Because when you drop price, you expect that quantity will go up. Demand curve, right? Basic demand curve. And as that happens, we're seeing them make choices. And that's why, it's a tough time because the headwind is not some of the things that we hear and the chatters we hear is bigger than that. Softening demand is driving price down. Increased capacity with competition is driving price down. And those things is an headwind to the market because, again, the customer is just saying, I'm poorer than I am last year. I want to save some money.
So are you telling us that, let me ask you, let me not say what I think you're saying. How would you then describe the attitude of Nigerians towards traveling in this time? I hear you when you say that we're thinking about it, but just because you're thinking about it, your deep freezer is still on.
Yep.
So my question is, yes, we might be having more thoughts around, discretionary travel. Are we actually seeing the impact of this thinking? Are people actually choosing not to go? Is that what you're seeing in the Nigerian travel
Leisure travel
industry?
is down 42%.
Wow.
By our estimate.
And business travel?
Business travel is constant,
Just steady.
steady. Because if you want to travel for a meeting, because you want to go make more money, you're still going on that trip.
Yeah.
But what we've seen is softening across board in leisure travel. Students, and there's a lot of headwind. Let's talk about visas a little bit. The UK changed the rule on dependent visa. So before, if 6 of us used to go, now it's just 1 person. Automatically by that change of that rule, right? So again, there is a lot of headwind that is coming into that business. So student travel is kind of down when you think about it, because again, the dependents that were going with them has slowed down. Movement to Canada is down. We've seen movement to Canada also down. So as you see those movements being down, now do people just jump on planes to go out to buy pizza? And I'm not talking, and I always want to say this because I hate the laws of false equivalence, that there's still some folks that can afford it. But we're talking of the average Joe that would go to London once a year. And you remember, average travel is 1.1 times a year. And I'm focused on international.
Right.
I'll come back and talk about local, right? That folks are getting on planes and not getting on planes internationally as they used to be. But local is up.
Well, you took us there, so let's discuss local.
Yeah, I'm there already. Local is up, and it's telling us how to embrace local and teaching us that we should.
And what's driving that?
Capacity is increasing in local. We have new airlines springing up,
of course, yeah.
which is always a factor. That means that there's a little bit of pressure on pricing, right? We're seeing some pressure, even though the average price of local is up. Our roads are still a little bit unsafe. So again, it makes smarter sense to get on a plane if you have business outside of your local domain and there's an airport where you're going to. It makes sense to get on a plane.
Interesting. So tell us a bit more about your business from a revenue model perspective.
Oh God, our business is built on mass market. We make money by volume, not money. We work very hard to not price gouge. That's why we don't make significant margin on each transaction.
Okay.
And the way we've thought about it, and that's why we are like what we call meta search of this market, because people check us to benchmark with their local travel agency, and I say, why are you benchmarking? Buy from the guy, just buy from workanow.com. Because again, what we do is that we thrive on volume. We thrive on driving that. Our business is built on sell more to make more. It's not sell, and as we sell more, we find ways to lower the price. On local, for instance, our local flight is up right now about 100%. And why? Because we're doing things that people, oftentimes our competitors can't do. We're doing deals with the local airlines, driving price of local airline down, and so that we can drive volume. The more volume we sell, the more money we make. And actually, the economies of scale of that is that we're using our technology to do more, to process more. So the cost that you now need to allocate to fewer tickets, we're allocating it to more tickets. And that's why we're always the best priced in the market. I always say that sometimes we don't win all the time, but we win most of the time. And when you call our attention, we have something on our website called Price Match, where people can actually send us that I found it cheaper somewhere, and we match it and beat it. Again, it's a confidence that we know that we have the best supply, we have the best pricing, and that's how we win.
Looking forward, what's changing in travel, like over the next 5 years, next decade?
So I'll talk about world, I'll talk about Africa, because I think it's totally sometimes not aligned or going in the same unison direction. The same direction, but not in the same time frame. The world is changing to the world of AI. Artificial intelligence is becoming a major driver in the world of travel globally. Our UK business is leveraging artificial intelligence to do some very creative stuff out there. Artificial intelligence is not as pertinent for us here in Africa. Why? There is not a lot of OTAs. OTA means online travel agency. In Nigeria, there's about 1.5 of us, right? The others are half.
I love it.
Right? But seriously, and I say that on the online space, we don't have a viable competitor locally in the whole West African region. The only place I have a competitor that is a solid online competitor is South Africa.
Interesting.
So if I want to build AI,
I feel like I should name some competitors, but you know what? I'm just.
You know what? And when you name them and I tell you the insight behind it, we are not really competing. Competition means investment in marketing, investment in technology, having the scale, having everything that you need at the cost and the customer volumes. We're the largest travel agent, online travel agency in Africa. Period. Hands down. Hands down, by volume standpoint. Now, what does that mean? AI needs to observe the market, observe behavior, and use that to infer pricing. If I'm only observing myself, AI is not as important to me as it is to the next guy. So what is important to me is ease of shopping, relationship with the buyer. How do I create relationship with the buyer? How do I make sure that I know the customer?
No, but the question is, what changes over the next sort of next 10 years? Like how do you see this industry evolving?
Number one, payment.
Okay.
Payment is nothing but critical to this industry. And that's why all the CBN rules and the things that are changing is very important to us. Very important. We're paying attention to it because payment is important. Payment is still clunky today. And there is still a trust factor in payment. I know I'm digressing now, but there's still a trust factor in payment that is important. I'll give you an example. Customers will book online and then walk into our travel centers to pay us. And, and the man will tell you, I just want to see the person I'm giving my 2 million naira to.
Fair enough.
Because again, if he transfers that 2 million naira and he doesn't get his ticket, he feels in his mind that, who do I hold? Now, there's still a trust factor where in America, if you use your card and something happens, you go back to your bank, right? And then you get indemnified. Right? Yeah. Those are the things in payment that we are working on to enhance, because the future is how do we create happy flows for customer, where you don't have to drive down to a center, where you don't have to do transfers. Another thing is a customer makes a booking online, right, for his wife, and then goes to a bank and pays you. And there's no connection between the name that paid you and the name of the wife that made the booking, and the reconciliation is a mess. That's the future. How do we synchronize that? Now, another thing that I talk about the future is enhancement of visas through technology.
Okay.
To know that, look, you have a visa to the UK, you have a visa to America, you're not a risk to any country in Africa. How do I get you there automatically? That is the future, where we create like an e-visa network, where I know that this individual is this is the person. I have data on the person. I know who he is. I know where he's been. I know that he's not running away. He's not going to run away in Senegal, or Senegal does not require a visa for Nigerian. I'll use a country difficult to get, South Africa. Right? He's not running away in South Africa because, again, he's there for business. He has gone to South Africa multiple times. That is the future. To create an e-wallet for visas, those are the things that we know is going to revolutionize. And then eventually, maybe in the next 5 years, we will catch on to the AI bug.
Interesting. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. It's been fantastic to have you.
Pleasure.
And don't go anywhere. This is Tech into the Future on Arise News. Welcome back to Tech into the Future on Arise News. We've just spoken with Mr. Bayo Adedeji. He's the CEO of Waka Now. And it was a really interesting conversation about the way they survived COVID and really changed their business quite radically. I thought it was interesting how sometimes technology, what do you think as technology change, is as simple as making sure people have laptops so that they can work from home rather than desktops. So it's like it's tech, but it's pragmatic little things that you need to like solve, in order to make a business work.
I think they didn't just survive COVID, right? It's almost like they had an opportunity to go and sharpen focus.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like you said, they used that crisis very well. So as COVID was ending, they were back with new energy, with new laptops as an example.
Laptops, new technology. I liked even just the CRM to allow everybody. And so, again, interesting. I think actually he was really a point he made is, look, technology enhances. And if used right, it really enhances your business. So he talked about people working in silos, and if this person takes his laptop home, or if this person shuts that thing on their computer, nobody else has access to it. Right. And then they fix the CRM, and so everybody in the business has access to the same information. I think a lot of small businesses, a lot of non-tech businesses can stand to use that thinking. It's like, how do we make our business more transparent? How do we use technology to solve simple coordination problems within the business and enhance our outputs. I think that's a good lesson there.
Yeah, and I think it's also knowing when and when not to use technology. So he says, listen, we now have even as simple as WhatsApp, right? We've opened up WhatsApp. That's a way for us to we get 20% of our sales from there. But you know what? We don't have a chatbot there. We actually have humans there because we still want to keep some level of
like the actual relationship.
Going. So I think I find it interesting how they are using technology but very intelligently as it works
pragmatically.
Very pragmatically as it works for them and the kind of business they're trying to run.
Yeah, I think there's something that you sometimes see CTOs do is they fall in love with the tech for
Yes.
the tech's sake, and they want to use the most advanced possible solution.
Yes, indeed.
It's like everybody's talking AI now, right? We're going to plug AI into everything. In fact, we will not do anything unless it's AI. And sometimes you just have to look at your environment and you have to look at what are the problems they're trying to solve and make sure we're using the right tool to solve this problem or to actually move things
Just
forward.
always knowing your why is very important. Why are we doing it? And I think one of the things, and this is one thing you're going to hear on and on again, is payments. We still haven't fixed payments in a way that we would love to.
Given how many people are working on it.
Yes, given how many people are working on it, given how many unicorns we have, payments are still an issue when it comes to e-commerce. And I think not only is the payments, like just making sure the payment goes through, there's still a trust issue, especially when you consider how expensive an airline ticket is. If I'm going to shell out anything north of 300K, I want to know exactly where my money is going. I want to make sure that ticket comes to me. I don't want any questions. You know what I mean? So I find that the truth is to get the trust portion of it right, you have to get the tech part of it right.
You get the tech right. I think that broadly as across the country and across the continent, you're still going to see a lot of online to offline, back to online behavior because of the level of education, because of the level of trust, because sometimes the tech still fails.
Yes,
and so, it's like you do a transfer, 300K goes missing, 1 million naira goes missing. Again, to trust systems, how long does it take your bank to refund the money? Because it's going to take 7 days, and I was supposed to travel this week.
Exactly. I don't have that. I don't have another 1 million
extra,
to pay.
I don't have 1 million that I was not using to give them while I wait for that one to come back. So yeah, I think interesting. Quite a lot of very pragmatic points about the use of technology and the way sort of like we solve problems. I thought what was utopian, and that was kind of really interesting, was when he talked on the future part about the idea of just using the data that we have to solve some of our problems with visas across the continent.
Exactly.
And
I like that too.
It is interesting. I wonder if our governments are pragmatic enough to actually sort of like use this data in this way. And it's like, well, we've got travel information. You've done 10 trips over the last, 2-3 years. You've gone to the UK, you've come back. You've gone to the US, you've come back. You've gone to Ghana, you've come back. You've gone to Senegal, you've come back. I can give you a visa to South Africa or a visa to Mauritius and know that you will come back. And I wonder, considering like just how much information gets requested from you when you apply for a visa, or you travel, or you go through any sort of airline border point, you think, governments have enough information to actually be more pragmatic about this?
I would think we're taking it far, right? I think if we even had, if there was a service that every time I went to apply for a visa, I could go to Iwaka Now, for instance, that has all my travel.
Just download all the information.
Yes, they want to know
where
have you traveled the last time. The very simple solution. They want to know where you've traveled the last time, what kind of visas you've had. If there was one repository where I had all that information, that would be a service. So if not getting e-visas or getting me visas on time, it just at least makes the application process
less painful.
Yes, less painful. Indeed.
No, absolutely. Thank you for joining us on Tech into the Future today. My name is Tomiwa Aladikomo.
And I am Ngozi Maduka-Dozie. Join us next time as we take you into the business and impact of technology in Africa, how it's changing your world and how it's changing the world around us. Stay tuned on Arise News.